This broadcast has been brought to you by Introduction to Technology at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, where we enhance student education with technology integration. Hi, this is Jennifer Goddard. I'll be speaking with Antasia Braun and Joan Franklin. Together with over 20 years of teaching experience, we will begin discussing the importance of digital citizenship within our classrooms. We will break our podcast into 3 parts, starting with Joan.
Hey, so this is Joni Franklin, and I'm going to be discussing respect for ourselves and others in regards to digital citizenship. When it comes to utilizing technology, there are many agencies that play a role in the safety and security of users. The federal government works alongside private companies to ensure that companies and private citizens' information is secured and safe from cyber attacks. A couple different agencies that incur this are National Telecommunications and Information Administration, as well as Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. There are several other agencies that assist in implementing the regulations regarding cybersecurity. Lack of clear and concise guidelines for the internet can bring harm to both the beginner user and end user. In a study done by Istanbul University, they suggested 9 things that centered around not bringing harm to one that is using the internet. Within the confines of education, there are several filters and blockers that are created to be utilized to keep students safe. The Children's Internet Protection Act requires public schools and libraries to take steps to prevent minors from accessing certain materials on cyberspace. One of the key players in incorporating ethics into technology is the classroom teacher. The classroom teacher has the chance to model appropriate and reliable websites for informational purposes, how to engage appropriately and respectfully with other users, and report any concerns or issues that arise to the appropriate people. Internet etiquette is an aspect of technologies that users should abide by. Netiquette is a made-up word from the words net and etiquette. Netiquette is not something that is monitored by an agency, but simply a suggestion that shows respect for both users of the technology. The rules of everyday life apply to the use of the internet. Treat others how you want to be treated, and don't say or type anything that is malicious or harmful. The respect for oneself and other users of the internet really does not differ from our normal daily routine of life. As an individual does in their daily life, use common sense, be kind to one another, and follow the rules that are laid out in front of you. There are appropriate and respectful ways to disagree, and those need to be put into place as well. Safety and security should be at the forefront of all users, whether an adult or child.
Hi, this is Jennifer Goddard again, coming with you with point number 2 on digital literacy. We must educate our students to have the digital literacy skills they need to live, learn, and work in a society where communication and access to information is increasingly needed with the digital world. Here are 3 easy steps you can take to improve your digital literacy skills. Step number 1, you shouldn't be afraid of trying new things using technology. When you experiment with digital tools, you build confidence in your abilities. Step number 2, take an online course. Step number 3, don't be afraid to ask for help, as stated, on improving your digital literacy skills. Communication. Digital media platforms are necessary for the success of creating, evaluating, and sharing information in a technological era. Commerce. Digital commerce is the buying and selling of goods and services. These must be taught properly for students to know how to conduct such transactions. Students must also be taught how to use online transactions, electronic payments, and digital marketing strategies. Our next speaker is Antasia. Thanks for listening.
This is Antasia, and I will be going over how we can have students protect themselves and others. Since technology is a necessary component in today's classrooms, it's important for children to understand the benefits that come with using technology, because they will get to experience things in the classrooms that they wouldn't otherwise. But they need to also know the dangers that come with using technology. And that involves when they use technology out of the classroom too. Schools have security measures in place regarding what websites students can access and what content they can view. So the students at school are pretty protected, but when they're outside of school and at home, they need to be aware of what they are putting on the internet and who all can have access to that. Students also need to know not to speak to strangers online. Don't share their personal information. Protect their passwords. And another thing that we need to go over with students is the risk of viruses and malware. And that can come in so many different forms. There are links that can be received through emails and text messages, so students need to know if it looks kind of fishy, don't click on that. And if they do click on it, they need to know that they can come to an adult and have them take care of it. If it's at school, they need to unplug their devices and report it to IT. If they do something like that at home, they need to reach out to a parent so they can go ahead and try to minimize any risk that their child's information could be shared with someone that does not need it. So we really need to emphasize safety with using technology. Secondly, students have rights and responsibilities when it comes to technology. Something I like to go over with my students before handing out their devices is how we treat our Chromebooks. We go over how to carry them, charge them, log in. They receive their Clever badges, and they know that they are responsible for those items, and they have to take care of them. And if they don't, they will lose their technology privileges. And they know that these Chromebooks are used to enhance their learning, and they all do a really good job of following the rules because they want to continue to use technology. The rights and responsibilities with technology do go further than just taking care of these devices. Students should be taught to report any misuse of technology by themselves or their classmates. We go over how to be a good digital citizen, and that we should never use technology to harm others, whether in the form of cyberbullying, accessing inappropriate information or content, or receiving inappropriate content. Students know to report anything that they have received from others that is not appropriate to an adult or a teacher. They know that it's their responsibility to report that. As educators, it's our responsibility to screen content before we present it to our students in the classroom. We need to make sure that the apps and videos that are presented in our classroom are safe and credible. I do like to use YouTube for videos and read-alouds occasionally, but with the ads, you just can't really control what pops up, so I'm trying to screen that and just make sure that my kids aren't exposed to anything that they shouldn't be. Health and wellness is another big thing when it comes to technology and children. It's so important because children have access to devices outside of the classroom. We need to teach children how to incorporate technology in their lives in a healthy way. This means being able to differentiate between the real world and the online world. Students need to be able to communicate with others outside of technology. This can be done through real-life interactions in the classroom, such as peer collaboration and small group activities. Educators should encourage students to be mindful of how much time they spend online outside of the classroom. You can do that by providing education to parents on this topic. Most devices have time limits and restrictions that you can set up on their devices outside of school. Technology is a wonderful thing, but it should not be all-consuming in their little lives. They need to get out and they need to be active. Another thing to address with students that's so important is cyberbullying and how dangerous and impactful it can be. Mental health is so important for all ages in today's world, and this is a real issue. Technology gives students a platform to say things that they wouldn't say in real life or in person, and it can have serious implications and can be so impactful to a student's mental health. Students need to be taught to report cyberbullying and check in with their peers. If things don't seem off, if they don't seem right or they seem off, they need to reach out to an adult and just make sure that their friends are okay. And that's another reason why it's so important to make these connections outside of technology. And next up, we are going to answer a few questions.
Our first question will begin with, how does someone hearing this for the first time take action?
When it comes to a first-time user and following digital citizenship, make sure to do some investigation, talk to the experts in the field, and be cautious of the websites that you go to and what they are presenting to you.
Thank you for having me. I have enjoyed going over digital citizenship.
This is Joni Franklin, and I thank you for listening to our podcast today.
Thanks for joining us on Digital Citizenship. It's been a pleasure. Signing off, Jennifer Goddard.